Welcome to Cyberpunk Month! It is a month where I'm planning on reading and reviewing cyberpunk books all month long. We started off a little bit early at the end of last month with Count Zero by William Gibson, which I thought was pretty not very good. Pretty disappointing after following Neuromancer. But I'm happy to report that the next book I'm reading for Cyberpunk Month, Falling into Oblivion, was better. Was a lot better, and I enjoyed it a lot more. Let's get right into it. Falling into Oblivion by Aaron M. Payne, who you might know better by his YouTube handle from his fantastic BookTube account, Bibliotheory. There'll be a description in the link below. Nope. There'll be a link in the description below. If you somehow haven't checked him out by now and you're watching me, then go check him out. His videos are better than my videos. He was kind enough to hook me up with an advanced copy of the ebook in exchange for an unbiased review. And I'd been offered this sort of deal a few times before, but this was the first time that it was a book that I was genuinely really excited about. I'd already been following Aaron's posts about the book and getting excited about it, partly just because of how excellent the cover is, right? Look at this thing. But yeah, so there's the full disclaimer. I did get the book for free, but this is an unbiased, honest review. Falling into Oblivion is core cyberpunk. This setting and world and story are going to be very familiar to anyone that's read stuff like Neuromancer, who's played stuff like Cyberpunk 2077, watched Blade Runner. This feels like kind of a cross between the Dresden Files and Blade Runner, or the Dresden Files and Cyberpunk 77. Our main character, Sol, very much reminds me of Harry Dresden in that sort of dry, downtrodden but very good-hearted individual. And I suppose if I'm talking about him now, I might as well just jump straight to the things that I liked. I'm going to avoid as many spoilers as possible in this video. The book isn't even out yet, so I don't want to touch any spoilers. First thing I liked is I really liked Sol as our main character. The book is told in first-person perspective, which often isn't my favourite perspective. I genuinely prefer like third-person. But here it does work. It does give us an insight into his headspace, and it filters the whole world through his viewpoint, which is really interesting. Sol is a sort of classic noir cyberpunk police officer detective. He's a family man. He's torn between the struggles of providing and protecting for his family, as well as the struggles of trying to do the right thing in a world that is so corrupt and where the right thing just doesn't get you any benefit. You don't get rewarded for doing the right thing in these worlds. That sounds vaguely familiar. The police force shown off in this book is so believable as a place that we would end up that it's really quite scary. Sol is paid a very low base salary, but the majority of his income comes from the bonuses that officers get for closing cases. The more complicated and higher profile the case, the bigger the bonus. And obviously you can already see the problem here, right? Like, you are incentivized to close cases quickly. Perhaps not doing a very good job, perhaps not arresting the right person, perhaps not getting all the evidence. And so Sol has to struggle with this system against him wanting to be a good police officer, him wanting to be a good detective, wanting to get the right outcome. And it's compounded by the fact that he's deep, deep in debt with legitimate and illegitimate sources.
Are you a loan shark? Do you understand how finance works? Now let's do this thing.
He's trying to send his daughter to a fantastic school to try and give her a chance to live a better life than the one he led. But that costs a lot of money, and it's money he doesn't really have. So Sol is this flawed individual. You can tell he's a good guy, you can tell he's trying to do his best, but he struggles with it, and he struggles with the world he's in, and he's tired and beat down. And that struggle of balancing wanting to do what's best, wanting to do the things that he wants to do, with having to provide for his family, I think is a struggle that we can all relate to and makes Sol quite a relatable character. Secondly, it wouldn't be a very good noir detective story if the actual case at hand was bad, and luckily here it is excellent. There's twists and there's turns, there's fantastic suspects, there's fantastic antagonists. Our supporting cast that assists Sol are all really, really excellent. Again, because the book's not even out yet, I want to avoid spoilers as much as possible, so I can't delve too deeply into the actual case. But suffice to say, the twists and turns are really exciting. The mystery is really excellent. Right off the bat, you're presented with a case that, as a reader, I wanted to know the outcome of. And I knew that we were kind of going the wrong way with things, and so I was really excited to see where it went. It reminds me of like TV police procedurals, where you've got these excellent characters given really good, exciting cases that are easily digestible. It's not a complicated web spreading across 7 books. It's a case that's imminently solvable in this rather short novel, and that just means that it's punchy and it flows and you get to the really interesting points really quickly. And the world building is fantastic. It's not trying to reinvent the cyberpunk wheel here. It's taking what we all know and love about cyberpunk and adding its own spin on it. Nox City is a fantastic cyberpunk city that stands up, alongside the likes of Night City or Seattle from Shadowrun or The Sprawl. One of its key defining features is that the atmosphere itself, the air in the city, is toxic due to pollution, climate change, a combination of all, I'm assuming. You can't go outside without a mask and a respirator. And it just creates this even more hostile atmosphere. Cyberpunk cities are always hostile and scary places, and Nox City is no different. But the addition of this just makes it everything turn up to 11. The tension and just the stress the city made me feel was fantastic. And of course, it wouldn't be cyberpunk if you didn't have gross wealth inequality. And here it's no different. The wealthy are living in their giant towers, towering not only up above
over the homes of poor people,
but towering above the pollution, towering above the smog, in a world of their own with private helipads for landing their hover cars and private academies and private schools that the poor just have no hope of ever attending. And look, in this day and age of wealth inequality and many, many other social issues, the commentary in this book on that inequality and on these different peoples and the power they can wield is really excellent, and I really appreciated it. And what's more, I don't know if I can describe this bit, but this book was really easy to read. The prose just flowed off the page for me. I didn't struggle with any words or concepts. It all just made perfect sense. It was very readable, it was very digestible, and it was really fun. And I think that helps a lot. I think I got through this in about 2 days. But look, it wouldn't be an unbiased review if I didn't tell you the things that I didn't like about the book. And there were a couple. So first off, Sol's family, I never got an emotional connection with. I think it's because it was very much told, not shown. You started off the book with Sol telling you how much he wants to get home to his family, and Sol almost crying about how much he wants to read his daughter a bedtime story. And I get told that again and again and again and again through the book, but it just never resonated with me. Perhaps I'm a cold, heartless individual, but I feel like there was just maybe a scene missing. I feel like there's actually a couple scenes missing in this book, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But yeah, the family stuff never really clicked with me as a motivation. And then the twists. Again, no spoilers, but I'm going to be a bit touchy. There's 2 main twists I have a problem with, and they have the opposite issues. The first one is just so heavily signposted that by the, 10th time I was reading the obvious signpost, I felt like I was getting beat over the back of the head with it. So that when it finally did happen, it wasn't like oh no! It was, oh, thank God I can stop hearing about this now. So that was just a bit heavy. And the next is a twist that makes perfect sense in this world. It makes perfect sense in cyberpunk. It makes perfect sense for it to be here. I just feel like there's, again, like one scene missing at the start that would allow you to go back and to click. The twist makes perfect sense, but it doesn't have that satisfying moment where when it happens, it you look back at some other bits of the book and it all just clicks into place as the dominoes fall over. This is a fantastic domino, but it's just someone put down one domino at the end and knocked it over. So as I said, I feel like there were a couple scenes missing, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not an author, I'm not that creative, I have nothing but respect for the people who are courageous and creative enough to write these sort of things. I can't even begin to imagine how much that must take out of you, and I have nothing but respect for them, so I'm certain that my suggestions are terrible. But I just felt like there were those 2 scenes missing. Like maybe a scene with Sol's family right at the start so I could actually see them and I could connect with them as characters instead of these vague concepts in his head. And then that other scene that I kind of briefly touched upon where you could subtly hint towards the twist that's going to come at the end. The sort of scene that would not give anything away but would, click into place later on. I've got a couple ideas of what that would have been, but again, I'm not an author. And lastly, the ending is really, really good. The ending is fantastic. It just kind of abruptly ends, I feel. I feel like, 4 or 5 pages before the end, we're still really deep in the thick of it, and then it's over. And it's a great ending. It makes perfect sense. I was satisfied. It's probably just because I was enjoying the book so much. I just wanted more. And I can't wait for the next book to come out, so I really hope that it comes out soon and that he writes it fast. But yeah, the ending just came at me, and I was just so disappointed when it was over. Which is probably a good thing, but, you know, even just a couple more pages there that goes into exactly what happens immediately following the ending, I think I would have really appreciated. Oh, and the last thing, this is a 100% a me problem. It makes perfect sense in the book. I don't like the word moddy. I don't know why. They call the cyberpunk body biomodifications that people get, often go by the nickname of moddies. And it does a great job of showing that these modifications are so commonplace in the world that they even have this weird cutesy sort of nickname that people use. But for some reason it took me out. I don't know why. That's not a legitimate complaint, ignore that. All that being said, this book has everything I want from a cyberpunk book, though. It's got the fantastic futuristic technology, it's got the fantastic characters, it's got the flawed individuals, the corrupt system and them butting together, it's got the inequality that gets explored, and it's just dripping with the cyberpunk noir atmosphere that I love. And so I'm giving it an overall rating of 8 out of 10. I thought this book was fantastic, and I really do think everyone should check it out. There'll be an Amazon affiliate link in the description below where you can pre-order the book or pick it up when it comes out. It comes out in October, I believe October the 4th. And yeah, this was really enjoyable. After being disappointed with Count Zero by William Gibson, I was really worried about picking up the next cyberpunk book after already promising to do Cyberpunk Month. But my energy is reinvigorated by this one. This book was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And what's more, it's a bingo book, so bring up the bingo board. My bingo is a readathon challenge I'm doing all year. It is Our Fantasies Bingo. As you can see, there's a number of prompts, some of which we filled out, and there's hard modes, and I'm going to try and clear the board this time. This one feels a little bit like cheating because the book hasn't come out yet, but the hard mode for self-published is it's got less than 100 ratings on Goodreads, and the book's not out yet, so I didn't have a chance of getting to 100 ratings on Goodreads yet, but I'm locking it in. So Falling into Oblivion in the self-published square. Looking pretty good. So thank you once again to Aaron Payne for providing me with the ebook for this one. I hope anyone that checks out the book loves it as much as I did. Let me know in the description below what your favourite cyberpunk books are, and if anyone's checked out this book as well, let me know what you thought. But most of all, just remember to keep reading.